So I'm moving off of I mean, I've always been off of, if I paid attention to it, it's because I'm looking for something else. There's like something causing me to want to look at the punditry and the the stuff that takes a political aspect of talking to a condition. You could talk to a condition, but it doesn't have to be political. That's for you. But just because I know there is a point or of futility because they're trying to explain something to somebody who's divorced from reality, and it doesn't do any good for you. It's like on one end there's something, I can't really get there like this. I can't really get to what I'm saying. I have to use another example, which is me, right? Once I recognized that, because I had told someone who knew me for forever, that knows that I have some back tendon issues, so like tense shoulders and neck, and a little maybe hypertension, right? This is before COVID, before vaccines. It might have been brought on most likely by smoking, drinking, and Red Bull. Makes plenty of sense, right? You can't drink Red Bull now if you were vaccinated, right? You'll die faster than I would, having done damage to my body already. But I mean, at least I can make a pause or take a pause for the consideration, even if that's not the instance. It just means that I'm, for the right reason, have become malleable, not for a cuck reason. So when I'm also there's a fungus that's in the air, in the atmosphere, and my skin oil consistency matches the habitat, so it will take over, and I have like these rashes, right? But like I told one time, like I was like, when I mentioned that I was having a back issue that day, like a hypertension or something, she said, "Oh, do you have a rash?" You can see the fucking rash right on. You can see when I had I don't know if it's still there. You could see the fucking rash. So I don't know, if you want to argue, then you should go get a vaccine for the monkeypox, because the monkeypox isn't a coronavirus, and the same thing. But I was like, why did you ask me that? Why did you ask me if I had a rash? And she said, "Oh, I thought it was something else." Something else? You don't want to tell me what you thought it was. It's something you don't want to share with me that was one of your thoughts that you had, that it might be concerning a condition. If you wanted to suggest what to do about it, go to a doctor. See, the thing is, I could go to a doctor. I should go to a doctor, but there's something scaring me from it. It makes sense to see your physician every 6 months or once a year or every 2 years. Why just outright, without regard to any reasonable, be fucking against it? Nevertheless, I won't go near one of those fucking doctors. If you could go to a car dealership to get your car worked on, if you could go to an auto mechanic and not know anything about fucking cars, could you not expect to get taken for a fucking ride a little bit more frequently? So it's like all or nothing. I don't want to go into something with the wrong mindset. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the least bit privy to the precedent for situations to stay in limbo, because you haven't run into the right kind of common sense, logical policy, which is what this same dummy want to argue. Big dummy. You just want to argue common sense, logical, reasonable, what you know, and there's no reason for you to be scared to go see your physician. But I would think that at some point then they would be like, oh, you got the answers, and fucking. So if you got the answer, why are you here? You must want me to sell you a dream or something. You know what I mean? And then I'm gonna let them swab me. I'm gonna let you take my swab. It could be something on the fucking swab, and it's not that I'm resolute or I know that they're like, I just want to go in for the regular shit that they used to check for before the monkeypox, because it just shows that she's not reflected or considered anything and hasn't taken in any input from being able to disseminate. You're not looking for reliable sources to tell you anything. You're looking to see a little bit of glean the light in something that even a fucking charlatan might let onto. If you're not fucking paying attention, then why would they be interested? If you're trying to hustle or con, you want people that are ready for another level of being subject to scam, you know, the psychopathy. If I talk about nothing but psychopathy, you have a right to get tired of me. Maybe I make you sick. Maybe you got to do something about that. So I'm not going to a doctor with a different pathology. Like, I'm going to disrupt your industry or anything like that with common sense, logical policies. I don't argue fucking common sense. I make postulations so that you can argue. And some postulations are not permissible. You know what I mean? And you could argue that you're going to run into a legal gray area and satirical comic relief, infotainment. You know what I mean? Because the source of infotainment is somebody fell on their face. Somebody constipated that wouldn't take a shit, that was there acting like they were getting ready to take a shit, and they never took a shit. And it was just, they were just going to sit there forever. We just know how, that's just, what's it called? You know, it's like, there's different ways to say the same thing. And to have more optimism with it, and the perseverance, you could say that plowshares overtake their master. Then I don't want to be the dummy who fucking couldn't figure it out, you know? Walking around acting like I'm not having this. I'm about to unload on somebody because they didn't want to act like not rock the boat and have friends be war hawking and proliferation in a fraternal war, brother war. You know, this is just like everything is going to argue through COVID, Ukraine, and racism. You know what I mean? And whether or not there could be the gay military or something like that. Like, I don't care about the fucking gay military since they already beat Xerxes' ass in the fucking 300. You know, because the Spartans were, at first they were some characteristic of a gimp or something that was like, maybe they had 6 fingers. I don't know, but society didn't take on to them, didn't cast them out. At some point in time, the elite class aristocracy recognized that those mutants had held out and formed tough units when entrepreneurs have soft hands and will not do what is required to bulwark for the state. They outsourced the security to them, and so they had to fill their ranks, and so they went to a new, like, they started abducting children in wicker baskets or something like that from merchants and middle class, and then they would move them around, they would indoctrinate them, maybe give them mystery systems and the entheogens, you know what I mean? And then they would get in, you know, relationships, and they would get to trust in, and it's not Stockholm syndrome. You know what I mean? It's gala, which is where gay came from. It doesn't mean happy. So they got them. They didn't have training, so they sent them into steal from the middle class, even when they did not need the resources. They just needed them to get tough, and they were getting beat up, and they had to form tough bonds, tight bonds to pull each other out of situations where it could go to shit. That's what they said that that's why they understood that they were gonna break a few eggs to make an omelet. They were gonna crack a few eggs. They're gonna lose a few of them, you know. And so if you look at like Russia, right? I don't know if they said that we have a certain amount of like slightly over conscript, like, or like where they're, you know, shooting World War I cannons off the back of a truck, that they would throw them into the situation first before they got some intel and some research and development on the ground, like about things. When they come back the second time, they'll take over faster because they already know what they want. You know, you don't. They didn't have the overlay to go along with, you know. So now it's like GPS and shit. They could send the bombs further, you know. Fucking, we're not supposed to expect that they would exploit any advantage. Behooves me, because you know that everything conceivable that we've ever thought about, man has done before. We've done everything that you could plot out that would be a wicked, vindictive plans or whatever, and it could be motivated by greed until it's not. Until it isn't motivated by greed, and then you have to wonder what it is. You can get, you don't want to know that all that you don't want to know. It's not good for you to know that, because you're trying to rationalize. You could just say that they was a double dipping for the energy, for the energy, or whatever's the meaning behind the words. So it's like maybe a lot more powerful than just the glyphing together of fucking alphabetized, like you know, like you try. I don't know how to say this shit. I missed it. It's like maybe at some point in time, the repository of the knowledge we have was so much that it was too valuable to give up the conveyance willingly. We would have had to been differentiated on the side of whether or not you would protected it, or you would try to burn it. And you have to come up with ways to see and who it is. Who are the priests? Because they would have killed themselves upon discovering that all the knowledge was like destroyed. They didn't want to participate in the national hegemonic, you know, like if they wouldn't be the nation anymore. So you could say that they were the sons of, and the nation is this moniker like of this woman or something, and they have a name for this woman, but that was actually the name of that tribe, and it wasn't the name of an actual woman that ever lived. It would be like Imhotep is the name of like a tribe or something, not like the name of a person who ever lived. So you're going back to genealogy and the it's like primordial something. You know what the state power is? What came before that? Paternalism. That's nobility code. Nobility code. You know what I mean? Coat of arms and hearth and like all that shit. Like, you're same thing. But we've already done that before. Why would you want to do it again? That's what I'm saying. Like, we're in the end days. We're in the end times. Like, just talking about that or knowing about it or saying this is what you should do is pointless, because I'm not trying to drink a bunch of water. You know? I'm not trying to get, like, 7 hours of sleep every night and stay away from sugar. So what's the point? I'm like confused, but not that confused. I'm wrapped up in my consensus but not that much. Like I'm almost like I'm on the cusp of the epiphany, bound by the intonation. Right now, it's traveling through the vacuum of space in a frequency infrastructure, because frequency goes along with the infrastructure, because there's wavelengths and things in a realm brought together in the realm of aspect, and pertains to particular dates that are energy, constellation energy. And it's also another indoctrination. If you peel back the indoctrination and just keep peeling it back, you'll get to a point where you can't even function. You wouldn't be able to pick up a remote control and tell the television or the VCR, you wouldn't be able to tell the playback of a DVD player or anything what you wanted to do for it. All right.